A famous rabbi once offered the following parable to describe the situation in which we now find ourselves. Imagine a prince who committed various infractions, and his father, the king, was forced to banish him outside the palace. And time went by, and the prince, found himself a job working in the countryside, and the king would monitor his whereabouts, send out agents surreptitiously to keep an eye on him, make sure he was doing okay. And weeks, and then months, and finally a year went by, and the king couldn't handle it any longer. He missed his son dearly. So he told his most faithful servant, "Go out, find my son, and give him this message. Tell him that his father misses him and loves him and wants to grant him any request. Just let him make a wish and let me know what it is, and I'll grant it." The servant goes, finds the prince, tells him this message, and the prince says, "Tell my father that I said thank you so much. You know, it's cold out here in the countryside. Tell my father I'd like a warm coat." So the faithful servant goes back to the palace, reports this to the king, and the king is devastated. He's heartbroken. Of course, he sends the warm coat, but that's what his son, the prince, asked for. When he had one wish and he could have asked for anything, a warm coat, he could have asked to come back to the palace. And he didn't. He forgot where he came from. And that's us. God comes all the way down from heaven this time of year, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and during Yom Kippur, and he's ready to take us back to the palace. He's ready to grant any request, and instead we ask for a new coat, a new kitchen, a new car, and that breaks his heart. And you'll say, that's a parable. It doesn't happen in real life. No? Listen to this story I once heard from a rabbi. This happened. A young man was praying at the Kotel, the Western Wall, and he saw next to him there was another fellow wearing a New York Jets football jersey, and he had folded up a little piece of paper and he stuck it in the wall, as so many people do when they visit the Western Wall. And then when this New York Jets fan walked away, the young man couldn't help but see that the note fell out of the wall. Now, the young man shouldn't have done this. I'm not condoning it, but his curiosity got the better of him. He reached down, he picked up the note, and he said to himself, I gotta see, what did the New York Jets fan write in that note? And he opens it up and he reads, "Dear God, please let me know if the Jets won their game today." And so this young man runs over to a friend and he says, "Do you have a cell phone that I can use to call the States?" His friend says, "Yeah, what's the emergency?" He says, "I can't explain now, I'll explain later." He takes the phone, calls a friend in the States, says, "Listen, how you doing? I'm doing great. Don't ask me any questions. I just need to know, did the Jets win today?" His friend says, "Yeah, they won today. Why is it so important?" He says, "I got to go." He hangs up, goes running into the Western Wall courtyard area, finds the guy in the New York Jets jersey, not that difficult to find him, runs up to him breathlessly and says, "Hey, you must be a Jets fan." The guy says, "Yeah." He says, "Guess what? They won today." And the Jets fan's face is this combination of euphoria because his team won and astonishment because God just answered his prayers in 2 minutes. Now, this rabbi who told the story said, can you imagine? For all we know, what was going on in heaven was God said to that New York Jets fan, anything you want, write it on a note, stick it in the wall, I'll grant it. And the Jets fan asked to know whether his team won the game. Talk about blowing your one wish. So this Yom Kippur, let's keep our game plan simple. We don't need exotic blitz packages. We don't need unbalanced offensive line formations. Straightforward, plain vanilla offense. God, I've strayed. I've sinned. I feel terrible. I regret what I've done. And I resolve not to do it again. And I have one and only one request. Please take me home.